Thanks for joining me, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. So we're here to talk about your Voxels project, a sculptural art submission to the Design Shine 2024 competition. I'm just going to open it up to you guys right away. What was a project? What was a concept? Just describe the project, summarize it in your own words.
So the project was hosted by the AIA Austin, and they host a yearly competition every year. This year, the Design Shine competition, the premise was sit with us, challenging architects and designers to find a chair or design a chair.
Cool. Build a chair.
Yeah, so they do this every year at the Umlauf Sculpture Garden, the AIA Emerging Professionals Committee. So as emerging professionals, we came together and submitted something, and our submission won. So we put it together.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind the concept? How did you guys come up with the idea for your project?
Yeah, so our project Voxels, we wanted to do something modular, and so we were looking at like different ways that we could. I think a big focus was making something that was interactive, that people could come and like not just look at, but like do something with and kind of intervene in their own way.
Yeah.
And so that kind of moved us into a modular object, and we were kind of thinking about like what if there was like some sort of building block or something that people could move around or pick up or be playful with. And I think we kind of, so as we were having these like design conversations and kind of charrettes, like we were realizing we kind of started to move toward this like Tetris-like shape.
Cool.
Definitely inspired by the game. Joe also had a project that he had done at the UT School of Architecture that was relevant and definitely a big inspiration for us. But we kind of, we're using that game as like a way to inspire this kind of creative play-like structure.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like the Tetris game. It's super cool. So you can pull and rearrange and kind of make your own seat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I think is kind of cool about it is like it's very simple. Like 4 block every shape is made out of 4 blocks, but like when the voxels work together, they can create something that's like really shapes that are really unique. And like I think there's something architectural about that, and there's the limitless possibilities, and we try to like put that in the hands of people. Yeah.
I think there's also something kind of humanistic about it as well, because it invites collaboration. And it's not so easy to just do it I mean, you can move one voxel by yourself, but you need like a couple people. And so during the opening night, we were moving them around and we kind of got some great reactions, because I don't think people understood that they can come apart.
Yeah, because art, like typically, like you look at it from a distance, you don't interact with it, right? So I think that's what's so cool about it. It invites people to, rearrange it and design it themselves, which is pretty neat. Yeah. So what inspired you to go towards this like modularity like route? Was there another project that, you drew inspiration from? You mentioned Joe's project in architecture school. So what was the inspiration that you got from that?
Yeah, so I was like basically made this we had this project in architecture school where you built a wood joint. So that wood joint was like our introduction to the wood shop. And I made mine out of these like inch by inch cubes and these 2 different pieces. And it looked kind of like a Minecraft block when you put it together. So I thought that was cool, and I wanted to like recreate some of the surprise from that, like the surprising moments, but make it like seat scale. But it was in a lot of ways like the precision that we were able to get like to with our fabrication like allowed it to be that modular. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like modularity on 2 levels. So you make it out of these like 1 by 1 squares, or I don't know what the dimension is. So you put those together to make your piece, and then you have each piece which can be dragged around, for like the viewer, which I think is neat, right? Like if you're breaking everything down into like its finest parts, it's like it's a cool approach. I like it a lot.
Mm. I think something nice, like talking about the geometry as well, is like even though each of the four different shaped blocks are unique to one another, they all follow the same rules, and they all are composed of four cubic elements that are repeated. So they all have like 15-inch by 15-inch cubes that produce the shape.
Yeah.
And so, like, even though there's unique expression across them, they're like following rules that, you know, allow it to be stackable in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of creativity from like rules and
Mhm.
like rigidity or constraints, I think is a
Yeah,
good word.
yeah.
Right? We talk a lot about that at work is like constrained design. So this is like a fun exercise, like
Yeah.
what you can produce from, the rules that you impose on yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, that's my interpretation. If you guys like have other ideas, feel free to like push back. But yeah, so I love the modularity aspect, the playfulness, like inviting people to like touch the art and move it around. So the other big component of this is the acrylic and the light. So the materiality, it's like a wood shell and it has acrylic on the ends and
Mhm.
then light that emits from the acrylic. So what inspired, the materiality of it?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I would say definitely like looking at the resources we had access to at the time, like
Hmm.
obviously working here,
Yeah.
we're grateful enough, like and lucky enough to have Andalusia be one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
And kind of working within the tools and the material we had easy access to, right? So
Yeah.
at Andalusia, we have a CNC router. And so that machine is optimized to cut on sheet wood material and other sheet material.
Hmm.
And so kind of working within those constraints of like and maximizing the possibility of like using those tools to like give us really beautiful expression.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely why we went with plywood. And then I think the acrylic was just like a fun, playful touch. And
Yeah.
I've been bringing up the kind of playfulness of the project, and I think that's a
Hmm.
huge aspect of it. Is it's like childlike, and it inspires play and interaction. And I think those like primary colors coming out was a big driving definer for us. But
Yeah. It's also like there's some cool moments of surprise when you can see one of the acrylic faces. Like if it's coming through another voxel, like it's kind of you're allowed to see the ends of each of the voxels and like understand the form a little bit better.
And I would just say it also emphasized the design shine um, aspect of the competition. We have to not only build a chair but find a way to make it bright, and
Okay.
acrylic was a very nice way to do that. We were also limited to the budget, so we had a $750 that was awarded to us, and
Uh-huh.
so finding materials that are structural and within this plywood was a very obvious choice for material.
Yeah. So what was available and what was cheap?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were also got an awesome donation from Polymer Shapes.
Okay.
They gave us the acrylic and they gave us some really cool colors. And that was it was within a like primary palette, which I think is really nice. And that was just, we were just like, if you have any like extra acrylic, we would love to like,
That's cool.
appreciate a donation. But it worked out really well, I think, with the colors that we got. And
Did you just outreach to them cold? You just sent them a
yeah,
message?
I actually have been we've Andalusia has used them for a couple of different acrylic orders, and so
Hmm.
I've been in contact with one of the sales reps there, and so I just sent him an email and I was like, "Hey, like we're doing this project. This is unaffiliated with my job, but like
Yeah.
if you have any extra like offcuts of acrylic, we would love that." And so that was a really awesome like partnership that came out of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got us lighting, right?
Also, shout out to Rebecca Van Loo with Spectrum Lighting,
Uh-huh.
who donated several different kinds of lighting as we tested out kind of how far back we want to put it so that way we don't see the direct uh, bulb or light source. And
Yeah. So okay. So there's like those little optimizations you can make, right? Like I feel like we're all always like experimenting on a like a micro level. Like how far does the light look good? On my end, it's like, how does this script work or this like piece of it, right? So what kind of like design decisions did you optimize for and make in addition to the lighting?
Yeah, that's a good question. There was definitely a lot of that, especially in our first prototype. Like I was saying before, since Andalusia was a sponsor, like we were able to prototype at full scale, which was great for
Yeah,
us.
that's awesome.
So like building and we still have it over sitting in the wood shop right now, the first prototype voxel that we built.
Oh, cool. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like we got to build one to scale and like learn a lot of things about the process in that first build. And so, one thing was lighting, like we had some test lights that we were putting in there and figuring out how to mount them inside. Due to the nature of the fact that these are like modular pieces that people are supposed to move around and play
Mhm.
with and jump on and stand on, like and rotate and roll over, like we had to make sure that lighting was super secure inside and like wasn't gonna like, be falling around and
Yeah.
like, could survive that wear and tear of people just interacting and playing with it. Um, and so figuring out how we were mounting that lighting was super important. And kind of like what our internal bracing system looked like to support the load of people standing and walking and sitting on them. So we were actually able to integrate those two into one where our like structural X braces
Mhm.
inside of the voxel also serves as the mounting platform for the lights that we just ended up screwing directly onto those that shine probably about like a foot and a half, 2 feet back from the acrylic windows. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that was a big thing. And one thing like with our bracing and like our internal components that we all had to figure out, a big part of that was we didn't want the blocks to become too heavy, right? Because the
Yeah.
whole point is like
To
people
move
can
them
come
around.
up and move them around. Even like
Mhm.
kids, we didn't want them to be these really heavy objects that, the idea was to move them around, but like once
Yeah.
people actually went into practice of doing it, it was so heavy it was, unenjoyable or not realistic. So that was a big consideration from the get-go. We were talking about our weight maximum and trying to fit all the structural and internal components into that. And also make it like a nice seat height and not make it too small, like someone can
Yeah.
fit and sit on it and like it not feel awkwardly low to the ground or anything like that. So like there was a lot of considerations around making it this like really optimized, structurally outfitted object, but also not this super heavy object to lug around.
I think there
Yeah.
might be one more optimization we can speak to on weatherproofing the voxels.
Yeah, for finishing, yeah. We had to coat all of them because this is an outdoor installation for
Yeah.
about 5 months in total. Yeah. So, and that's just out in the weather, during Austin's winter, which is like in spring, which is like rainy season. So,
Yeah.
having to like really thoroughly coat them in a way that's like not letting moisture or water get inside.
That makes sense. So was it just the coating or did you do any other weatherproofing details like in the construction? It's like it's so simple shape, so I guess maybe weatherproofing
Yeah,
coating is enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of, the concept is really simple. It's
Yeah.
these four cubes with acrylic faces,
Yeah.
but when you get down to making it, there's so many things you have to consider with
Mhm.
how people are interacting with it. It's gonna be outdoors and like exposed to the elements. You've got to charge it. It's got to be a weight where it's like somewhat movable, and then we try to conceal all the. You don't see screws
Yeah, I
in
love
our
it.
thing.
Mhm.
It's all concealed attachment, and like for some of the more complex shapes, like the voxels that are a little more twisty, like how the order that each plywood sheet comes in. But yeah, Abby was absolutely like fantastic in coordinating everything and getting everything to fit together, which even though they're simple shapes was it took some
More
elbow grease.
complicated.
Like,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
a
they're
little bit
like
of a
I was
struggle.
actually gonna transition to that. Like on the outside, it looks super simple. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if we were 3D modeling, we would draw a box and then an
Uh-huh.
acrylic face. But when you go to build it, you have to think about all these extra like considerations. So yeah, it's like a testament to engineering and design in general, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one consideration relating to the engineering and design of it too, like is choosing primary faces.
Yeah.
We chose not to do miter joints at the edges, just because it is more complicated and more costly to do
Mm.
it that way, and to get it actually attached like
Yeah,
that.
so which faces go all the way to the edge
Yeah,
and which
so
ones
that was a
are
big
interior?
choice that,
Yeah.
like, Joe was a big part of that, of, like, choosing primary faces because he supported
Mhm.
a lot in the CAD creation, for stuff to get ready to be machined.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, Joe, if you wanna talk a little bit about how you chose primary faces.
Um, yeah, it's kind of visual, so it's a little hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I
There's a lot of them in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just try to think about the order that, like the hierarchy of the shape and the order that things come together in.
Yeah.
But it really helped. Like what we learned in the first prototype is it like really helped to have like a clear plan of the attachment hardware and those locations like before fabricating.
Yeah, this is why I believe in like 3D modeling to the physical level sometimes because like it really like eases the process to fabrication. This is a debate I've had online with people. It's like I feel like, thinking about those details early is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, I totally agree, and there's things that you can't anticipate as well,
Yeah,
even no matter
obviously. Yeah.
even with the fact that we've, like, physically prototyped one to the full scale, like, there were things that we didn't catch that round that we caught on later rounds,
Yeah.
that was, a lot with machining and machine settings and stuff like that, and so, yeah, it was, like, honestly incredibly difficult in a way that I would have never anticipated, but I
Yeah.
think, we learned so much from it that it was very worthwhile, but a much bigger, project than anticipated for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about how simple the concept is and how simple it looks, so it makes sense that once you, like, get into it and the fabrication that it ends up being more complex than you had anticipated. I'm just curious what your roles were in the project, like, what did each of you do, and contribute to the final design?
I'll start. I
Yeah.
was, primarily involved in the physical fabrication aspects, like
Mhm.
running the machine and doing any sort of prep or work to engineer, different aspects of the voxels, making sure they were structurally stable, making sure all the parts came together like they were supposed to, and then kind of the, manual application of geometry, attachment geometry and all that.
Yeah.
One aspect of the project too, because they are lit up from the inside, they don't have like super long lasting 5 month long batteries inside
Yeah.
there. They have to be recharged. And so that was something I had to engineer as well, was like kind of, okay, how do we allow these to be plugged in
Yeah.
without compromising the design of the shape and making
Yeah.
something that was really obvious. And so I engineered these plugs that basically these circular plugs in the sides of all the voxels that basically rotate to lock into place, and then you rotate them 90 degrees to unlock and basically
Huh.
align, and you can then pull that plug out to then get access to the charging cord inside to plug the voxel in. So it's a very simple design, but it was something we had to figure out, and so
Yeah, so you don't have to expose the plug on
mhm.
the
So,
exterior,
yeah, and
kind of
it
ruin the
has that
magic of it.
same yeah, it has
Yeah.
that plywood veneer. There are, like, 2
Mhm.
little dowel holes on it, so it's not completely seamless or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I think it has a nice look to, like,
Yeah.
be, like, kind of another part of plywood, even if the grain direction is different, it's nice, because it, is also plywood, but, yeah, that was
Yeah.
my role predominantly, but I'll
Yeah.
let other people talk.
Yeah, so I helped with the digital design and rendering of the project. So I did all the 3D design for the initial concept and helped render it out and put together the proposal. And then once before we started fabrication, I would prepare all the digital files that we fed the CNC. So made sure those were super accurate so we didn't have to redo any of the voxels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I helped with the submission of our project as well as securing lighting and generally just helping build. I'm not an employee of Andalusia, so I don't have the same access. So I come after work and help fabricate.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Super cool. So now this is sitting out in the Umlauf Sculpture Garden. We all went to that event. It was a lot of fun. I think your design like generated a lot of interest. There were like, people crowded around it at night. It like glows on all ends with different colors. It's fun to see. And then when people realize they can move stuff around, it's like a nice moment. What was the experience like? Putting it out into the world after you'd finished it.
That was super rewarding, especially, like, seeing how it's I think during the event, people were, like, sort of gathering around it, and, like,
Yeah,
it was helping sort of shape the conversation, so they were really functioning as chairs at a table.
yeah.
So that was super cool, and I don't know, it's just so nice when you design something and put a lot of work into it and, like, seeing it in the real world.
Yeah, we've been meeting since August,
Yeah.
from since Tourette's, and so just the continuation throughout the rest of the year was really rewarding, especially having friends and community come out to see the opening night.
Yeah, the celebration's always fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was fun too. It would have been fun if there were more children there, but it was mostly adults
Yeah.
at the event. But there was one little girl who was climbing all over
Uh,
them, which was really cute.
yeah.
And someone had a little like dachshund dog and was like
Mhm.
putting it on top
Oh,
of the
yeah, I
lights. And it
remember
was
that
fun
one.
because
Yeah.
everyone would like get super excited to take their phones out and like take a bunch of pictures of the dog on the
Yeah, I have a
voxel.
few of those.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it was fun to see how excited people got and like whenever we would, get up and rearrange, it was a little performance almost, like doing that sort of thing and
Yeah.
seeing what people thought and yeah, it was super fun. It was a great event.
Yeah. Very cool. So it's still out there at Umlauf?
Yeah, it'll be there through April.
Yeah.
Yeah, April
Yeah,
1st.
early April.
Early April, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there are a couple more events that are going along with that. This past week there was a Moonlauf event, which basically meant
Mm.
extended hours for the Umlauf,
Yeah.
where they stay open till 8 p.m. and then you can see all of those designs lit up at night, which is super fun. They're doing another one on the 29th of January, I believe.
Hmm.
And then there is another event in March as well. I don't remember the exact date, but it's going to be another artists event where we're going to talk at that event as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. Do you have a preference to see it like during the day or at night? Obviously, at night it's really fun with the colors, but just curious about your thoughts on the dynamic of, the time of day.
I would say I like both. They're really cool. I
Yeah.
like how it looks during the day.
Yeah.
One fun thing about one of the acrylic colors that we were given, it's
Yeah.
like this like almost like neonish green.
Mm.
At night it looks yellow. But then during the day when it's not lit up from inside and just kind of like the natural light is catching it, it's like this really vibrant green color, which I think is really fun. I think I really like how they look during the day because the plywood really emphasizes how they look like blocks.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really cute, but
Hmm. Yeah. Because the
yeah.
form is kind of hard to make out at night, I guess.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
about like these glowing orbs, which is
Yeah.
also really cool, but you
Yeah.
you asked which was my favorite, so
Yeah. Yeah. You have a favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because they have a completely, different character, like, during the day, like Abby said, they're, like, blocks, they're, like, kids' blocks, and then at night, it's, like, kind of this mysterious maze of glowing faces, so really, I think I'm partial to the night, just because it's a design shine, but it's
Mhm.
nice. Umlauf is typically like open during the day, from 9 to 4, so it's nice that it works really well during the day.
I think I might also be a night vote as well because during the day you have all this movement and then at night it gets to rest and it's just glowing form and
Yeah.
it's really fun to drive down Azzy Morton as well and
Uh-huh.
see like the different forms that it's taking and peeking through the fence there even if you don't have time to make it to the garden
Mhm.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys driven by, since it's been up?
Oh yeah, I drive by it all the time because I live next to Barton Springs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Same.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was gonna ask about the ergonomics. I mean, I'm coming back to the design a little bit, but just jumping around in terms of
I would say it's something we considered. So like the acrylic faces are inset a little bit, so
yeah,
you've got a little bit of a grip, something to grab on
yeah,
around the edges. So
uh-huh,
that helps, and we like tried to even out the supports and like not have any one shape that's like way too long to move around.
Yeah, to add to that, I think talking about the ergonomics, I think obviously we want it to be a comfortable seat, like not
Yeah.
awkwardly shaped, not uncomfortable to sit on, not feeling like I'm like crouching down on a little tiny stool or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
But then I think another part, because the intention was to climb on it, is that each block is not too tall to not function as a stepping stool. So like a
Mhm.
kid can easily climb up on it, an adult can easily step up on it, and you know
Mhm.
there was one form we did that was kind of like a staircase a little bit, and I
Mm.
think I climbed all the way up there, and I didn't fall. So but but I think there was a lot of intention in that, right? Like we didn't want it to be like the height mattered a lot, like not only for the weight like I was talking about earlier, but
Yeah.
and how much plywood we were using, but also like what is this like when we sit on it? What is this like when I step up on it? Like how does it feel?
Mhm.
And I think we ended up hitting it right at a really, really approachable size, which is great.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, for kids, it becomes a playground, and for adults,
Mhm.
it's it's a seat or whatever they want to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
just
go
to
ahead.
kind of
Yeah.
add on to that, weight was definitely a huge factor where we were thinking maybe 1 foot, like 12-inch by 12-inch would be appropriate. But then when we thought about the actual scale of that, that's really too small.
Mm.
So that's what kind of drove up the inches to the 15.
Oh,
And
nice.
then it was
Yeah.
also a lot of fun watching both of them test the acrylic section
Especially
because
by jumping on it.
You
Yeah.
jumped on the acrylic.
turning our prototype on the side of the L, and then watching Joe first hop up there, do a little hop, and then Abby as well. It was a moment of fear, but they both did not fall
Yeah,
through,
structurally
and
sound.
so
So
It's funny.
yeah.
Did you test it in the shop or the night of?
in the
In the
shop.
shop.
Okay, good, good,
Rehearsed
good.
prototype night.
Yeah,
So
rehearsed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
did not wait too long for that, but
Oh, nice. Do you have a favorite orientation of the blocks? Is there a right way to assemble them?
there is not a right way to assemble it. That's a great
Okay.
question, because that's something we actually talked about in the design stage. Like, if we wanted an ultimate, like, this is the right way to make it. And like,
Mhm.
when, it's a puzzle and you have to unlock it, which I
Yeah.
think is really fun. But I think ultimately, like, a big reason why we didn't go that route, and I'm grateful for, honestly, is like the kind of infinite self-expression that can exist. Like there isn't one right answer. There isn't one way to assemble it to make it the best. It's not like, and then we're able to see people like come in and intervene and create something that's totally unique and we've never created, and like we're surprised by our own,
Yeah.
project that we made, which I think is really great. And so and to answer that question, is there a favorite assembly? I don't think so. There was one assembly we did when Joe and I first brought the blocks over to the Umlauf, where it looked almost like a cathedral a little bit, like the way it was stacked
I
up. It looked like there was like two like steeples. It was really cool. But in general, I like love every new assembly is always like so fun and beautiful. So
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you okay.
Sorry. It's cool because the shapes can like remind you of different things. They're kind of like clouds. You can say, hey, this looks like a
Uh-huh.
church, or this looks like a skyscraper. So kind of like Legos. It's just like it allows your imagination to form it into something
Mhm.
else. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one that I thought looked like a throne, which I think
Oh
is
yeah.
the right way to assemble it, actually.
I was just going to say the way we had it for the opening night, you had like armrests all around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very comfy seat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really nice how you can like pull them apart as well and just create these different nuanced spatial relationships between the forms.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, nice. So why did you guys decide to do this? You could just
That's a good
not,
question.
right? So like why what inspired, to submit to the challenge?
Arrogance and hubris.
Um, that's funny. Uh, yeah, I think that's a great question. That's a really good question. I think we had heard about the competition and felt that it was, doable. It definitely was going to be a lot of work. I don't know if we realized how much work it was going to be, but we got excited about it. I think we just like heard about this competition, about the premise of the design competition, or I was going to say last year, but like the creating a chair, and we just like had all these ideas, and we got really excited. And I think I can't remember exactly how the group of us, like how the three of us got together for the project, but
I'm glad it happened.
like I mean I like Jess, we had gotten connected with Jess already through work events, because she'd actually come and taken a tour like along like almost a year ago now, which is really crazy, and bonded over different outside crafts like crocheting.
Crocheting,
Yeah. So we just felt like it was the right group, and then got excited about the prompt, and um decided to go for it. I think, why not do it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, if it like, the prompt inspires you, that's a good sign that, you might want to enter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And anytime I see an opportunity to exercise my creativity, I definitely jump at it.
Yeah.
Because the real world can sometimes value engineer you.
You bet. Yeah, that might be the quote for the podcast, right? Don't let the world value engineer you.
That's a really good quote. Yeah, I would just say it was definitely a lot more work than I expected, but it was really like a cool experience, and I learned a lot about how stuff comes together, and got a better understanding of like fabrication and like working with people. So it was a really cool opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree, and I would just say like it was a super rewarding process. Like we're all mentioning how much work it was, which it was. Like lots of late nights being here, at Andalusia till like 11 p.m. after a full
Hmm.
work day.
Yeah.
But like it was so rewarding. Like I feel like we learned so much, and just to see we were talking about that opening night event, like see the way people interacted with it, and
Hmm.
it was really great.
And to
So
continue to see people interact
Yeah.
as I drive by the Umlauf,
Mhm.
even though I don't have the luxury to go in at like a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock
Yeah, on a
time,
workday,
but I
yeah.
see people walking around and looking at the garden or looking at the voxels, and it's really cool. Yeah, to know that it's still there and it's gonna be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a really, really like small thing, but it's cool to see that like you left your mark, like something that
Mhm.
you built is there. Like
Mhm.
it's I don't know, it's a very small thing, but it like makes you feel like you're a part of something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna, actually talk about that, like ownership, like of the design, right? Like, because a lot of times we work on things that are other people's ideas, or for like a company or something. But this is nice that you get to have the idea, you get to execute it, you get to put it out the way you see it, which is a fun opportunity, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something to be said about design build projects in general, and like
Hmm.
being there for the entire process. Like I think that is the most fulfilling way to be a part of design projects at all. Is if you get to be there at conception, design, manufacturing, planning, engineering, and then actually building it, and then actually installing it, and like all of the headache and like nightmares that arise from that. I think it's just so fulfilling to like be a part of that process entirely. And it is definitely my favorite way to design and be part of those projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool that like AIA emerging professionals is able to like empower design like young designers to get their hands dirty and build something. It was also really cool like that what we initially rendered like looks almost exactly like what we built. Like
Hmm.
there were a lot of like there were a lot of challenges, but I think ultimately like the vision that we had for this was pretty uncompromised
Mhm.
with the result. So that was really nice.
No value engineering, huh?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have I wanted to have four colors. Like I wanted each voxel to have its own color, but we couldn't get four different colors. So you got to compromise somewhere.
Yeah, that was Joe's huge compromise. There's a
Yeah.
lot of drama.
Yeah,
Wow.
anytime you can take something from the digital space and build it into a 3D tangible thing, especially giving it back to the community in a way to interact with. It's been
Yeah.
very rewarding.
Yeah. Seeing your stuff out in the world is, I think, the best part of all of this. So what other projects did you like from the event? Did you see anything that caught your eye?
We actually helped one of the other artists in
Hmm.
fabricating their chair, the Knead Chair. I think that's how you say it.
Mm.
Which was a really cool project where it was like a bunch of CNC'd, like repetitive pieces that were attached with threaded rod and basically formed this chair that could be folded into like, I don't know how many, like a ton of different, like 20 different possibilities. Really cool project. That one is cool. I think the design is really nice, and it was nice to be able to like help out with the CNC machine at Andalusia, and
Yeah.
help and also be a sponsor of that project as well. Um,
So you were building your project and
and
someone
someone else's
else's.
project, yeah. So it
Yeah.
was a lot of work. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of work, but yeah, that's another that was a cool.
Yeah, I like that one too because kind of like ours, when you go back to the Umlauf, you just find it in a different shape than the last time you came. So
Yeah.
I have a bias towards projects that can move around, but there's some other really cool ones. There's one that's like a donut that kind of wraps around a sculpture. That one was really cool.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like art, you see it one time and then you're like, I feel like I've understood it. But this one, like you said, you go back and it's in a different orientation. So that's always fun. Are there any other projects like this you're looking to undertake this year? Or have you started thinking about the 2025 or 2025 Design Shine? You think you'll do it again?
I don't know yet, but I would really like to be involved with something like this in the future. I think it's really cool, these kind of like experience design opportunities, and like you said, you get to be like really creative in a way that is different than a day job.
Yeah. We have a good amount here. We talked for about 40 minutes and I think it'll be pretty neat. So thanks for joining
Yeah,
and
thank you
talking
so
about your
much.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.